Thom, you have many roles here at NSA, and I just found out that you are like the person that referred the most members to NSA. Do you get an award or money for that?
So I didn't even know there was an award for the member who refers the most members to join. And people would tell me, oh, it asks if you referred me, can I use your name? And I always just go, oh yeah, sure. I used to joke like, maybe I get a toaster. It turns out there's a real prize. It was like free dues plus next year's convention, free. So I was pretty honored. And it's not like I go out of my way to recruit people. I just think the National Speakers Association is so awesome that I tell every speaker I meet.
Well, I think that's fantastic, but you're also a host of their podcast, Speakernomics?
Yes, so the National Speakers Association and I partnered in January and we launched a brand new podcast called Speakernomics, where I interview speakers every single week on how to build a better business and make more money in this profession.
And what speaker does not want to listen to that, right?
That's right. Well, I mean, the truth is we're in a very crowded field. It's a very competitive market, and in the last 3 or 4 years, more and more people have become speakers and are calling themselves speakers, and so it's super competitive. So if you want to win, if you want to get hired, if you want to have repeat work, you need to have great stagecraft, you need to have the skills to be on stage, and you have to learn how to market. And so we talk about both sides of that. How do you market and make money, and how do you do well as a speaker?
So I'm going to ask you a little later about maybe some of your secret sauce to what speakers need to do in order to be successful.
I wish I knew. After the pandemic, I am actually restarting my business. I'm trying to find, what do speakers need? I don't know. If you know, tell me.
Well, I was going to jump into how you became a speaker, how you started in this industry. Because growing up, I don't think I've ever heard a kid say to me, when I grow up, I would like to be a professional speaker. Although there's tremendous skill sets behind that in navigating life or a company or getting interviewed and getting a job. There's so many different aspects to public speaking that I believe is extremely valuable. So how did you get in?
Well, first of all, you're right. Communication skills are super important no matter what you want to do. So when I was 25, I had to give a presentation at work and I bombed it. And my boss told me I needed to join a Toastmasters club. And so I did, and I learned what speaking was. And how do you use the voice to be able to communicate? And I got good at it. People started asking me, hey, could you come speak to my company? So 12 years ago, I made the leap and I became a full-time professional speaker. But if you go back to when I was a kid, in 2nd grade, there was a note that my brother found when we were cleaning out my parents' house, and it said, he talks too much, we need to have a conference. And my brother came out with a note from my 2nd grade teacher and said, Thom, I think we need to find this woman who was your teacher, because with what you charge to speak, she probably owes you like $200,000. So I've been a talker all my life, but I really learned to be a communicator, and I learned to be somebody who can educate and motivate over the last 12 years, and part of what I learned has been through NSA, but the reason I got into it is I like helping people, and one of the ways I could help people was using sort of my voice with what I knew.
Leading up to then the secret sauce, because this is what you know, you are an expert and you are helping many of the speakers, of course, be successful in their own business. So what is the magic formula, if you will? And I realize there's lots and we can't do it in 2 seconds, but what would be that magic formula so somebody could step into and say, okay, I can really get my business going?
So my background was I was in sales and marketing, and I was the director of marketing for a big law firm and for other companies. And when you're in marketing and sales, you attend a lot of conferences. And I would go to these conferences and I would sit in the hotel ballroom chairs and I would watch the speakers on the stage. And sometimes they were celebrities, but sometimes they were regular people who'd been successful who were sharing their story. And I would literally watch them and think, they have a better job than I do. And so I wanted to get into the business. So now that I've been doing it for over a decade, oftentimes my friends or somebody I know will say, oh, my sister or my aunt or my brother would like to be a speaker, would you have coffee with them? So I do a lot of, I want to pick your brain meetings with people who'd like to know about the industry. And the first thing I ask everybody is, how many speaker friends do you have? And they look at me and go, Thom, I don't know what you mean. And I'm like, it sounds like a pretty easy question. How many friends do you have who are speakers? And they often look at me and go, you. Yeah. And I'm like, we're not friends. You just bought me a cup of coffee in a Starbucks. I'm talking about you don't have plans for Thanksgiving dinner. They find out and invite you to join their family. And usually they say none, sometimes maybe one. And I'm like, if you want to succeed in the business of professional speaking, you need friends who are making money as speakers. And that's why I have found over a decade, 12 years plus, that's why I have found the National Speakers Association to be so great. I learn a lot at the conferences, and being a member is awesome, but it's the relationships that I've built, the friendships I've made, that has led me to being able to learn, I don't know if it's the secret sauce, but it's led me to learn a lot of ways to put myself out there into this market and be successful.
Well, that's the secret sauce I'm talking about. So thank you so much. This is Maria and Thom, and we're out. Ready? Down.